So it's time to put a diesel heater in my Whistler canopy, hard-sided, pop-up truck camper, and I've got a plan, allegedly. Oh, check this out. This is my exhaust port, and you can run it just like that because everything inside the box is sealed, so nothing's leaking into the cabin. Or if you're a bit paranoid, freaked out by exhaust gases, like I am, just put another 90 on it. And there you go. Oh, that's slick. These diesel heaters, none of these were given to me. I paid for these. Actually, my son bought this one quite a few years ago. It's been kicking around my garage for, I don't know how many years. 8 kilowatts. It will fit in the location I want it to. I'll show you that here in a second. But I think it's too much. It's a 5.5 foot bed, and the pop up. It's not a lot of square footage. This one here is a 2 kilowatt unit. It's a lot smaller. I'll show you here. It will, of course, fit in the same location, but that gives you an idea of size. And I think I'm going to go with that. I'll show you. We're going to stick that thing in a second. This one I bought maybe a year and a half ago or so on Amazon. It was on sale for like $100. These are self-contained units. Basically, just fill it up with some diesel, add some 12-volt juice, do a little plumbing, and you're ready to go. I'm not going to go with this one. I'll tell you why in a second. So the HLN is supposed to be an awesome diesel heater, but it's not going to work for me. So I bought something else. The problem with that is the wiring harness is so bloody huge. I'm going to have to strip it all down, shorten it, which would be a giant pain in the butt. If it was only a couple wires, I could do it. I don't even know what the brand name is. It's just a generic diesel heater, 2 kilowatt. I know I'll be kicking my own butt that I didn't take the 8 kilowatt unit over this one when it's minus 20. But you know what? This one uses a quarter of the power. So this is the kitchen option for my Whistler pop-up hard-sided camper. I'm bringing a bunch of these in March. I'm going to use this space here, this lower covered area, for the diesel heater. I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks, I guess, of a diesel heater and why I chose this over that self-contained unit. So everybody has seen one of these guys. These are the self-contained units, and they're cheap as dirt, and they're awesome. If you've got an SUV, you're probably going to use one of these because you're not going to drill holes through your floor and do all that stuff. How these work is you attach a hose to this, and you feed it into your cabin, and that's blowing hot air into it. But with every foot of hose, it's cooling off, especially if it's minus 20 out. So that, the longer the hose, it's going to be cooling off, even more. The intake here, and I don't mean combustion chamber, but this intake, if it's sucking minus 20 air and it's got to heat it up and fire it back out, it's not working efficiently, in my opinion. I'm going to have mine set up so it's sucking ambient air out of the camper and firing it back into the camper hot. I picked up a couple of brackets for diesel heaters on Amazon, and this one works. I would have to cut it down and mess with it a little bit. And then I found this guy. This is cheap. I forget what it was, $20. It's already pre-drilled out for any size diesel heater. And the dimensions were off, they sent me, but I just bent this up a bit so it fits into that area perfectly. So there's the setup. I got a bit of a wow in this plate I'm going to take out. So the intake, I don't mean the combustion chamber, the intake that's going to blow through here and come blowing out is that side. So I am going to drill a 2.5-inch hole in this box so it's sucking ambient air out of that camper. And then I'm going to put this into here, 90 degrees back into the camper, and that's going to be blowing hot air. Every time you put a 90 on this stuff, it adds like 3 feet of hose to it. So you don't want to put a whole bunch of 90s in there or you're going to slow the whole system down. This is pretty much a generic wiring harness, way easier to deal with than at HLN. So if you flip it upside down, you have an air intake and an exhaust. You can see the little arrow on that one, meaning that's air intake. So that's going in, and that's exhaust going out. So the air intake usually has a vent cover on it like this. I guess it's just so you don't suck any hornets in there. So fresh air in, and that goes out. But these guys usually screw off. So I'm going to line this up to the side wall of that cabinet. I'm going to pop it through, and then I'll cap this on the inside. There it is. It's all lined up and ready to go. I got a bit of a gap here, a bit of a space, just so it's not vibrating like crazy in there. And it's lined up. All right, let's test this thing out. Done. And I'll screw this cap on the inside. So there it is, done deal. That cap on the inside here screwed on nice and tight, no problems. And I've stepped this plate off that back cabinet wall, 1/4 inch, just so it's not vibrating around. So we got a bit of clearance all the way around. I've got 4 holes, 1 in each corner of this plate. I'm gonna mark them out. There's my little template, and I wanna keep this thing horizontal with the center of that. So I marked it out. This is where this is gonna go. I'm probably gonna stick it right there. So I'm gonna pop another hole through there. So in the kit I bought, it's got 2 of these vents, and it's got a T, and they're made out of plastic. I'm gonna go on the other side and pop this guy in there. This is the basic wiring harness that I love. It's easy to mess with. It's not very long, and just simple stuff. Positive and negative, and I'm gonna put some clips on those so I can quickly detach it from my 12 volt. This is an inline fuse. This plugs into this harness end, and that's it. That's on every diesel heater. And then over here, you've got a plug-in for your control panel. Here's a control panel. This is pretty standard stuff on most diesel heaters. It comes with a remote right there, same as the Niji camper. And this guy is gonna have to be inside my camper. It'll go on the other side of that wall, so I'll get that hooked up. So there it is, there's that plug. So basically, hopefully you can see this. If you pop this yellow cap off, there's a little lip there, just gonna pry it off, and you can pop those wires out. To get the wires off, once this little yellow cap is off, behind each clip, or each wire is a little clip. Just gotta get a small screwdriver and open it and pull the wires out. That's it. And then the hole is gonna be much smaller, or just make a big hole. It's up to you. So really, I just need a small hole going through that box to the interior, and I can plug in my control panel. This one hooks up to your fuel pump. There is a fuel pump and fuel filter that comes with the kit, and I'll show you how to install that. It also comes with this little bracket here to hold this on, and it's rubber. So the kit came with its own fuel tank, which is awesome. I'm not gonna use it because it doesn't fit where I want it to go. I could put it in that top shelf, but it'd be too much pain to fill it from up there. A lot of them recommend that you put the fuel fill nozzle at the bottom, so it just kind of gravity feeds into it. But this is run by a fuel pump. You don't need that, and you're gonna get a leak. Use this fuel standpipe and go from the top, and it's kind of a Jenga, a little bit of a nightmare Jenga, getting it in and through here and sealed off. It's just got a rubber gasket on it, screw it down, that's it. So that fuel tube goes down through the bottom, picks up the fuel, and you're not gonna get a leak. Oh, I forgot to show you. That is your fuel feed. And it's usually, or always, right beside the fresh air intake. So the only thing I think is a bit ghetto, other than myself, in this setup is this fuel tank. I'm gonna make a proper plate for it. Right now it's just sitting and wired in to this plate that I bought from Amazon. And I got a pivot pin on the bottom so it pulls out so I can fill it up. It can't fall out. So I'll fix that up with a proper plate maybe next week. As mentioned, I'm gonna change out this diesel tray, but right now it's gonna work for me. The fuel pumps on these diesel heaters, you wanna keep them at a 45, like mine is, or straight up and down. Straight up and down is even better. These things can get air in them, and the only thing lubricating them is the actual fuel itself. So if you have it on its side and the air bubbles are collecting up top there, they're not gonna go away. I had to put mine on a 45, otherwise I would have ran it straight up and down. So that's good to go. I've got my hot air going into the cabin from the heater. That's my exhaust, check that out. Oh, check this out. This is my exhaust port. And you can run it just like that because everything inside the box is sealed. So nothing's leaking into the cabin. Or if you're a bit paranoid, freaked out by exhaust gases, like I am, just put another 90 on it. And there you go. Oh, that's slick. My fresh air intake is over here. And I don't know, I might stick that into the actual camper. On the end of that, it has this little filter, or whatever you want to call this, filter deal. So that's in the back. You can see my electrical here. This is a temporary 12 volt hookup, and this is my control panel right here. Those are going to change locations, obviously, from hanging from the truck, because I have a whole electrical system going on in there. So I'm going to use this switch and this here. This is going to control all the components. And I use an aux beam for my Tundra, which is awesome. But that's how I'm going to run with everything. I've got to hook up an oxygen sensor. My main battery is going to be plugged in, probably just using Anderson clips to different components, like solar and so on. So I got to do all that. There's some lighting. And this unit has a channel that runs around the whole thing. So my fridge is going to be back in here. And I'll hook that up with probably an Anderson clip as well and run the cable back to the main power station area. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's just blowing, man. I got this thing cranked and it's just pumping the heat out. It's pretty awesome. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a great addition to this thing for sure this winter. I'll do some tests on it when it gets a little colder out. But yeah, it's running great. Quick, easy setup, really.
Oh yeah.
Once I get my electrical stuff hooked up, maybe I'll do a little video on that as well. I'll show you how I've done this whole thing. And again, I want to keep it, portable. I want to be able to take this stuff out and turn it back into a truck. But yeah, running great. Yeah, nothing's blown up. It's all good.